to reduce cost or to have plenty in order to satisfy the customer's demand, but to have the right amount to achieve the competitive priorities of business most efficiently. So normally inventory, as yesterday, we were defining inventory as an usable resource, which is physically and tangible such as materials. Though inventory is an usable resource, it is also an idle resource unless it is managed efficiently and effectively. The management cannot grab the profits or the opportunities of getting the demands. So mostly the inventory includes different types of materials like raw materials. Inventory has the raw materials, some semi-finished goods over there, some parts, some finished goods, maintenance of spares, consumable supplies, and other direct materials come under this inventory. Raw materials or physical resources used in production process. The purpose of holding the stock of raw materials is to ensure uninterrupted production in the event of delays in delivery. So whenever any company, once they are into the manufacturing, so they want to hold the required stock because that interruption in the production should not be there. And these work in progress goods, the purpose is to take care of cushioning. Decoupling effect in the production, such inventory helps to stabilize the rate of output because it will be in the work in progress materials. Once you are going to load the input, these work in progress materials will moving forward. So finished goods or the inventory held for the sale purpose. So once these goods have been manufactured and these will be stored in a godown, this inventory serves as a buffer against fluctuation in the demand of a product. Also help in getting the goodwill from the customer by supplying their needs immediately. Once you store the finished goods, whenever you receive an order, it is easy to deliver on the spot. Otherwise, the customer has to wait for the days together to get it delivered. Then he gets irritated and he is going to leave the market. And we are not going to get sell out of our products if they are not in just in time. So these finished goods should be stored in the godown and it should meet the orders of the customers. So what is the need of this inventory? What is the function of this inventory function? The function is, the first function is transactional motive. It is going to carry out the day-to-day operations of a firm. Since it is very difficult to balance the input and output, and a pile of stocks is required. So these people, not to waste and not to pile up of the stocks, they concentrate more on adapting just-in-time approach, that is JIT. It is a concept to be introduced in the end of the next because there are not any requirement of inventory for this motive. Some amount of stock is required to carry out production as well as marketing transactions. So that is called transaction motive is one, maintenance of inventory. Another is precautionary motive to maintain a safety stock. Yesterday, we spoke much about this safety stock. Since it is very difficult to predict the exact demand, we need to have some stock with us. For example, season sales are hardly possible to predict. So we need to store few stock. That is called precautionary motive. Speculative motive is, this is a negative term for the customers, but it is positive for the people who are the traders because They take advantages of prices. The prices of raw material finished goods may go up or come down. The firm decides to reap the benefits, price movements by having a required market intelligence. Then inventory is replenished with speculative motive. We can say it's a gambling, or the people, all the traders will get syndicate and they hold the stock for unnecessary reason to create a virtual out of stock, and they want to increase the customers' demand and the prices. Once the prices shoots up, these people will let out their stock, speculative thing. That should not be done. But mostly, even the government doesn't encourage such things. But at times, these traders will be doing that. It will be fruitful only when the expected price rise exceeds the cost of holding the inventory. So, we have to encourage this or discourage. Most of all, we have to discuss the speculative movement because this is a kind of economic gambling. So to ensure the regular production, the adequate stock of materials production may be hampered. Both men and machines would become idle. By keeping adequate firm can keep up its output at constant level and sustain the operations. For that reasons, we have to maintain this customer orders, and we have to receive the orders now and then, and our production should be continued. So yesterday we have seen, and there is an objectives of this inventory management. It is to minimize the capital invested on inventory by avoiding excessive stock. So if you are going to keep old stock, holding charges will increase, and that will add up to the price, and the slight price rise may lead to dissatisfaction of the customers, and the customers may not buy the product. You would have seen law of demand, what it says. As the price increases, the demand will be decreased. So there is a sensitivity in the pricing. So a manager should be very apt in fixing the prices and fixing the prices in different levels in with the different products in the different situations. And at the same time, he should be ensure the availability of materials needed. And another objective is to tide over the fluctuation demand by maintaining the safety stock, to minimize the risk of loss due to deterioration, obsolescence, and spoilage and spillage, to maintain necessary records for effective control and research. These are few objectives of this inventory. Mainly, we have more advantages if you are going to control the inventory. Like we have good and smooth production and timely supply to the market. We are going to do if you are going to control this inventory. If you control the inventory, that generates goodwill for the customers because the availability of materials will be at the right time, at the right quantity, at the right situation they can give it. And it enables the firms to take advantages of price fluctuations. If you are ready with your stock, you can hold the stock, you can release the stock, you can sell the stock. So this happens when you have the inventory control. And this inventory control main advantage is minimizing loss of damages because we have Six Sigma, a tool wherein there will be zero defect. So we have to select the inventory control, one in thousands of items, small percentage of them needs to fight control. Even if the firm thinks of uniform inventory control over large number of items, it will become counterproductive since the cost will exceed the benefits. So this is the logic behind the selective inventory control. Management has different tools. Yesterday, in a rush hour before completion, I have listed out few tools. Now, in a detailed manner, we'll go because these are very important. Because if you want to manage this inventory, these tools will give you a best thing. Yesterday, we have said, I think you can have a recap of this ABC analysis. It is also called as always better control. Mostly in this classification, we take annual value consumption of items. So we are going to multiply with unit rate and then multiply with the requirement of annually. Then whatever the consumption comes, then we are going to calculate. Like, yeah, this ABC analysis, they take the advantage of this Pareto's law, that is cause and effect, or 80-20 rule, it is said. It was developed by an Italian economist in the year 1848 to 1923. The Pareto has lived for 46 years around. This 80-20 rule says 80% of sales revenue comes from 20% of customers. 80% of value addition is made from 20% of machines. 80% of property is owned by 20% of population. Any country you take. 80% of results will come from 20% of effort. So this Pareto has taken much time to come out with this analysis. And he rightly says, this is the equation where it holds good for even for inventory management. Like small fraction in the terms of number of elements, almost all account for the large fractions in the terms of effect. This ABC analysis is precisely attempting to do this 80-20 rule in the inventory control. The golden rule, 20% of inputs will govern 80% of output results. So vital few, trivial many is the important principle in this ABC analysis. So there are only few items mostly have annual high consumption and few consumption have heavy numbers. Statistics in materials accounting also reveal that a handful of items account for a bulk of annual expenditure on materials. So ABC analysis is the process of dividing items into three classes. And according to the monetary value usage so that the manager can focus on items that have the highest monetary value. Category A items, category B items, category C items. If you are going to look at category A items typically represent only about 20% of total items, but account for annual consumption is 80% in monitoring terms. Category B items account for 30% of the items, but account only 15% of annual inventory investment. Finally, 50% of items fall in category C, representing a mere 5% of monetary usage. See that. These dividing lines between these various categories, as in typical example need on the same category, A items could somewhat be higher or lower than the 20% of all items, but normally account for the bulk of inventory consumption in monetary terms. So how do you go for calculation of this ABC analysis? First, calculate the annual usage value of each item. Multiply the annual consumption with the price of an item, that is unit price of an item. So you will get an annual usage value. Arrange them in descending order according to annual value. So compute the percentage of total usage value of each item. Find out the average inventory of each item, their cumulative value. Then you go on plotting on the graph the cumulative percentage of items in x-axis and percentage of annual usage value in y-axis. So divide the curve into 2 or 3 parts depend on rate of range of slope of a curve. Name them as ABC. And based on the last step groupings, go back and tag the inventories with their respective classes and categories. So this is the how we are going to do the ABC analysis. So coming to controlling, that is annual consumption analysis of any firm, indicate a handful of highest value items less than 10. So next is WED analysis, vital, essential, and desirable. These essential items, the way back in 2009 and 10 during COVID, you would have seen the vehicles were allowed which carry essential items. So they would have done weird analysis. So in that essential items, people were given away because mostly surgical items, hospitalized for the patient, medicines, vitals, if you are going to take vitals or essentials, they were allowed. So here in this case of WED analysis, that is vital, essential, and desirable, the inventory items are classified into these three groups according to inventory items priority and critical nature from the production point of view. In the most assembly type of production, a trivial item is the C category, maybe the vital with the assembly perspective. In other words, we may say that particular trivial component may stop the entire production line, without which no further may be possible. So in such situation, we term that inventory as a vital. Accordingly to other items, they bought under any one of the three items. For example, if we say vital, those are more critical items. High opportunity cost of shortage must be stocked. The strategy to do that is high level of service is called percentage of risk should be quite small. So we should not take risk in acquiring these items. So we will be procuring and we will be storing and we will be ready to meet that demand. That is vital. E, that is essential, quite critical, medium cost or shortage, and preferable to have stock, but can take relatively higher risk of shortage will be there, essential. Desirable items, no serious consequences of non-availability may be stocked. No need to pay much attention. Without this product also we can run it. So these are the WED analysis. So if you compare the WED categories with ABC analysis, mostly A items will go with vitals. and B vitals, C vitals. So we can make into three categories. We can compare with WED analysis and ABC analysis. In this also we can compare them with the firm's desired service level. They can plan accordingly. We have another analysis called FSN analysis, fast moving, slow moving, non-moving items. F stands for fast moving, S stands for slow moving, N stands for non-moving. These are all items not required with the same frequency, but some are regular, some are occasionally, and once in a while we are going to use those are non-moving items. So this type of classification very handy, and when we desire to control the slow moving, non-moving items, stock level should be kept as minimum as possible. And regularly fast moving items, we are going to store in maximum level. So the slow moving, non-moving means as and when it will be solved. So no need to maintain maximum stock or full stock. But fast moving items, we have to stock more. So this is one type of inventory analysis, that FSN, fast moving, slow moving, non-moving. So up to now, we have conspicuously introduced the cost aspect of inventory and the broad spectrum of items covered by the word inventory, in which this started with various types are introduced. And in order to effective control, we have control techniques as we have seen now: ABC, VAD, FN, FSR. So in continuation to this, the inventory cost-oriented models in this unit. So here we have a tool called EOQ, economic order quantity. And another concept is JIT, is we are going to study in this. So why we have to go for this? Because these costs, various costs will be there associated with inventory decisions. So we need to have different types of cost concepts, because that may hinder our profits. And few analyses we have to do in this inventory, like stock holding and stock out costs. And mainly we have to concentrate more on economic order quantity that we need to maintain. And if you want to give an order, how much we need to order. Decide when and how much to order, that we have to do. And just in time approach for the delivery, that is distribution channels, we have to keep in mind the best part is GIT. So any inventory manager has to balance these conflicting cost and pressures, both the low and high inventories. So you have to decide upon the most appropriate inventory levels. In order to make this job easier, just examine the both sides which exert the pressure, like two critical aspects. When should an order to be placed? That is called reorder level or order level. And how much should be order? That is order quantity. It is both. If you are ready to answer these two, then inventory decision will be. No critical things will happen. The manager should be efficient in planning this approach of determine what to order when to order, how much to order, how much to keep in as a buffer stock. These four questions, if you are going to answer, then there will be no interrupting production and sales. So I repeat it. It is a planned approach of determining what to order, when to order, how much to order, how much to stock. These four things. Then you will be the best inventory manager. We'll answer a few questions like why we have to keep low inventories. The main primary reason is monetary investment in the goods. We cannot store or pile up more stocks because we need return on investment or why. And there is another term called ROTI, that is return on time invested. Time also will be invested. That is time value of money. So we have to keep an eye on this inventories. Note that the firm is not only paying for the material but also keeping the purchase inventories. This additionally gives monitoring pain called as inventory holding cost or carrying costs. This holding cost is a variable one in nature, consists of interest, that money if it is your money also, you have invested for the business, you need to calculate the interest, the storage, handling, taxes, insurance, and the shrinkage. Maybe the moisture products will get up dried. When these components change with the inventory levels, so does the holding cost. So company generally state an item holding cost per period of time as a percent of its value. The annual cost of this medical ranges from 20 to 40% of its purchases on various components that constitute this holding cost. So we should keep low inventories as a maintenance or holding cost to be reduced. Otherwise, the cost will increase more than the price. So, a recap on this inventory carrying cost, the interest, that may be the opportunity cost. If it is your money, you never care for the interest. But if it is in borrowed money, then interest will be constituted with it. If it is a godown, taken on rent, rent charges, cost of record keeping, heating, refrigerating, and lighting, handling costs, taxes, insurance, depreciation, shrinkage. The shrinkage is nothing but obsolescence, deterioration, and pilferage or spoilage. This is what the inventory carrying costs. If you are going to have the high inventories, why and company will go for a high inventory? Company at times, branded companies can go with higher inventories because if they have building of inventory can speed up the delivery or improve the customer satisfaction. Sufficient levels of high inventory shall reduce the potential of stockouts and back orders, which are key concerns of wholesalers and retailers. A stockout is a situation in where a typically stocked inventory is not readily available to satisfy the demand the moment it occurs. So whenever the people come, if you are going to say stock out, then the result will be in the loss of that order and further the goodwill will be reduced. A back order is a customer order that cannot be fulfilled when promised or demanded but is fulfilled later. Customers may be willing to have a backdoor, but next time may take their business elsewhere. The customers are given discounts for the inconvenience of waiting. Most of the times, quantifying this will be difficult and tedious. The various elements associated with the start shortage are I'll repeat this shortage cost. It's a back order cost, loss of future sales, extra cost, urgency, small order quantity, imputed loss due to profit for the gone, the purchase production cost per unit of an item. Because it significantly change when more quantity is ordered and the additional capital is getting locked into it and may not be available for other items. So we have to have a close watch on the high inventories which are ready to deliverable and which are more in the demand. If they are less in demand, don't try to pile up the stocks. The stocks will take away the costs. We have few more costs associated with the inventories like storage cost, carrying cost, ordering cost, and replenishment costs. So the order outside vendor or supplier, the inside production department. A production order of the shop for an inventory item, the ordering cost is the same, regardless of order size, the time spent by the purchase clerk to select the vendor, order flow up, and receiving. These are the two types of stocks, that is fixed and variable costs expended to get an item into a firm's inventory. Fixed costs do not depend on the number of orders, whereas variable costs change with respect to number of orders placed. So fixed cost will be the same, depend on the number of orders. It doesn't change. But variable costs change with respect to the numbers of orders placed. The salaries of permanent employees involved in the purchase function. Incoming inspection, purchasing, and purchase accounting const major part of fixed assets. And sometimes outboard transportation also will be the cost. So example, if you are going to see ordering cost, if you are given an order to the supplier, purchasing overheads will be there, inspection, accounting, transport. These are the costs involved in the ordering cost. The cost can be reduced by increasing the inventory levels. Pooling the order, combining also can be used as some reducer in the components. In case of an item being produced inside, a work order is issued to the concerned production section of a plant. The setup cost is the cost involved in changing over a machine to produce the ordering part from the existing part. It includes the labor and the time to make changeover, cleaning, new tools, and fixtures. Setup cost is indefinite of order size, so there is a pressure to go for bulk supply. So these are costs involved. Now we are going to see few models of inventories, and mainly the manager will be under pressure to keep up the low enough to avoid excess inventory holding costs, but high enough to reduce the frequency of orders and setups. In other words, the problem lies in minimizing the conflict costs. Conflict costs are nothing but ordering and carrying costs we need to reduce. So these are the problems mostly faced by the inventory managers. So these inventory models help to find out the order quantity, that is the lot size, which minimize the total costs. So how this inventory model goes on? We'll see. Inventory model is of two types. One is deterministic, the models assuming the certainty, and there is a probabilistic, which models are uncertainty. Some are determined that we can say this much stock we need, this much we need, these are the costs, then we can go for that is the fixed thing will be there. This is probabilistic, wherein fixed things will be there, but is the uncertain. So one model is a deterministic, in which models assuming certainty. Probabilistics models take uncertainties. So here in the deterministic, fixed quantity system and fixed period system, Q system, P system will be there. Even in probabilistic also fixed quantity system, fixed period system will be there. So inventory model called EOQ and its assumptions we are going to see, because the conflict of dilemma of low and high level inventories could be balanced with as a starting point. The economic order quantity is the lot side that minimizes total inventory carrying and ordering cost. The approach to find out the EOQ based is following assumptions. The demand rate of an item is constant. For example, you say 15 units or 15 per shift is consumed and demand is known with certainty. There is no quantity discount on lot orders. There are no other constraints on size of lot. The only relevant costs are inventory carrying cost and fixed cost. Decision of one item can be the independent decision of other items. Lead time is known with certainty and it is fixed. The order quantity is received. Example, if you are going to take, if you have a bike, you will be filling the fuel when it goes for a reserve. The reserve is the reorder point. It may be, it gets reserved, then you place it on the R and you start the bike and you will go to petrol filling station and you will get filled and you will change from R to on level. Once after consumption, again, when it goes for a reserve, again, bike stops. Again, you are going to place that switch to reserve mode. Then you are going to run. Again, you are going to refill. So this is the reorder level. If you are going to use that reserve petrol also, then completely that petrol will be over. Then you cannot move up to the refilling station. So that is a bad planning. Correct planning is we should have a reorder point. Then we have to fill. Then again we have to change it to on. Again we have to come back or again reserves. Again go and fill. This smooth running of a bike. In the same manner, the production unit also runs with this EOQ model, that is economic order quantity. It is optimal when all the assumptions are satisfied. It is so simple. We have a formula of calculating this EOQ model. This formula goes in this manner. EOQ. So EOQ equal to square root of 2 annual demand cost of ordering by cost of carrying. If you are going to divide, then square root, you are going to get some quantity. That quantity is called as EOQ. This EOQ, again, I am going to tell you the formula. EOQ equal to square root of 2 into annual demand units into cost of an order by price into cost of carrying, then you are going to get. If you are going to say, for an example, total annual consumption is some 12,000 units and unit purchase price is 1 rupee for purchasing. Ordering cost is 75 rupees per order and cost of carrying inventory is 20% per annum. It is given. The given data D equal to, that is annual consumption equal to 12,000 units and carrying costs 75, ordering cost is 75, that is price is rupee 1 and carrying cost is 0.2 because it has set 20%. So applying this EOQ formula, that is EOQ equal to square root of 2 into 12,000 into 75 by price, that is 1 rupee, into carrying cost, that is 0.2. You are going to get 3,000 units. So this 3,000 is the units we have to order. We have some limitations with EOQ model. Ordering in standard package sizes. For example, if our calculations EOQ is called 11 dozens, we may have to place the order for 12 dozens. One gross. Economical freight rate, the savings in the freight may be more than compensate the extra inventory carrying costs. Instead of ordering, say example, 13 times a year, orders may be placed every month. Simplification of the routine. And perishable with diminishing consumption. So it's better to order less than the theoretical EOQ levels. If there is a perishable things, EOQ content, now we got 3,000 units. Because of perishability, we have to go with 2,500 or 2,000 units. Seasonal items. Factors such as seasonal availability, availability of free transport may indicate purchase of larger or smaller quantities than theoretical EOQ. Seasonal items, if it is more demanded and it is in the season, not 3,000 units, will go for 5,000 units. Though we got economic order quantity as 3,000 units, but theoretically we got 3,000 units, but we'll go with the 5,000 units as it is a season. If it is an unseason, though we got economic order quantity as 3,000, we'll go with 2,000 only. So these are the exceptions. Imported items. EOQ suggested quantities cannot be successfully applied in the imports due to import license, uncertain lead times, because that currency exchange rates also differ day by day. So we cannot have more confidence in EOQ in related to imported items. Consolidated quantity discounts, liberal discounts, concessional freight rates may suggest larger quantities. So the purchase, you would have seen, if you are going to order for economic order quantity levels like 3,000 units per annum, then if there is a discount, if you are going to buy on 5,000 items, then you will be deprived of getting that discount. So these are the limitations of EOQ model. Once again, I repeat because this is more important. One is if EOQ ordering standard packages, if it doesn't means 12 dozens every month, 1 dozen. If we got any EOQ 11 dozens, we have to go with the 12. That is one exception. That is the limitation. So in the simplification routine method, if there are 13 times a year, if you are going to give an order, go by month-wise placing the order so that it will be good for you. In case of perishable items, it's better to order less than the theoretical EOQ levels. Even in case of seasonal items, we have to see the seasonal availability. Availability of free transport may indicate the purchase of larger or smaller quantities than the theoretical EOQ levels. And in case of imported items, in case of consolidated quantity discounts. So these are some limitations regarding this EOQ. Stock controlling can be done by different routines. The demand and supply method of stock control technique determines different stock levels like maximum level, minimum level, reorder level, average level, danger level. That is zero level, another. So different stock levels we have. Once we are going to starting from the first, like maximum level, average level, reorder level. As in case of bike, I was giving an illustration regarding this bike reserve, that is the reorder level, and a minimum level, danger level, and a zero level. So another technique we have to come out of this conflicting situations in inventory controlling, that is just in time approach. So in order to have this job done by the inventory personnel, it is the demand or the dependent or the independent. We have to check. The dependent demand is the demand which varies according to changes in some variable. The demand of raw materials depends on the final product. Demanded inventories are planned and controlled with the help of materials requirement planning, that is the MRP, materials requirement planning. Manufacturing resource planning is MRP2 and just-in-time techniques. So these are the three techniques which are controlling the inventory. Planning and control of independent demand inventories utilize EOQ analysis. The just-in-time inventory control system simply implies that the firm should maintain a minimum level of inventory and rely on suppliers to provide parts just in time to meet their requirements. So this is opposing the traditional view of calling of healthy level of stocks. So to have a protection against uncertainties of demand and supply, the traditional Western inventory concept can be termed as just-in-case system. The just-in-time inventory system, while conceptually very appealing, is difficult to implement because it involves a significant change in the total production management system. It requires a strong and dependable relationship with the suppliers who are geographically not far off from our factory. A reliable transport system, and easy physical access in the form of adequate doors and conveniently located docks to dovetail incoming materials to the needs of assembly. So just in time approach, it happens that we are not going to maintain much stock and we will be keeping a less stock with us and we will be depending more on these suppliers to supply the parts or the raw materials in the right time. So there are the hindrances because of geographical region, and at the same time, they may be having a hindrance in the roads and transport, this may create a problem. So practically, just-in-time approach have so much of hindrances. So to have a strong relationship with the neighboring supplies, or just as time is not a single technique, but is a composite of many techniques like POK, YOKE, Kanban, Judaka, quality at source, continuous improvement, and so on. So these are Japanese techniques. So it is a composite, means every level it should be very perfect, then only this JIT will be successful. So success of this JIT depends on customer orientation, focus on long-term objectives, goal congruence, and all departments integrated as one team. So everyone should work meticulously, perfectly, and efficiently. Then this JIT can be implemented. So what are the benefits if you are going to implement JIT? The first benefit is reduction in the inventory investment, because wastage, elimination, reducing production times, more investments will not be there. And another benefit is improving the quality, that zero defect program, continuous improvement in quality enhances in the quality level of output. Productivity mostly will be improved, because uh, as in case of just in time approach, at right time, at the first time itself, we are going to do the activities, complete the targets in time. And another benefit is quick alternative design, which enables to change the designs quickly by keeping it more responsive to that market. And we are going to see some differences between the traditional and JIT systems. Regarding the quality, if you are going to take the quality as a factor, in the traditional method, it has a cost, but in just-in-time method, it's free. That is Japanese technique Kanban. So later we are going to, in tomorrow class, in the next class, most probably, we'll concentrate more on this production Japanese techniques like POK, YOK, Judoka, Kanban. These techniques will try to have an orientation. So in right now, just you can observe the, if you're taking the factors as the error factor, in traditional method, it can be eliminated by inspection method. But in JIT method, they treat them as the stepping stones. So they are going to learn out from those errors. In traditional approach, inventories keep or sufficiently, but in JIT approach, keep as low as possible. The lot size is bigger in the traditional mass production, but in JIT approach, it's lower. If you are going to see the trios, worker, manager, engineer, the manager, engineers are experts, worker execute their orders. But here in JIT, workers are experts, others are facilitators. See the difference. See the expertise. The cost reducing techniques used in the higher machines, that is the traditional approach. but here they are accelerated approaches. In the labor policy, there is a retrenchment when demand falls, but reallocation to other in the JIT. High labor utilization you can see in the traditional method, but here flow of inventories in all types in case of JIT. And number of vendors, if you are going to see in the traditional, they are multiple, but in JIT, they are only few. Few trusted people who can deliver the goods in time. So if you are going to concentrate more on this inventory management, it is like a tightrope walk between on the conflicting goals, not to have too much of inventory and not to have too much of low. The relevant benefits arising out of these is just related to costs. And the tool you have to use the best is the EOQ method, which is the basis of situation for assumption. Other models are kept out of scope. There are many other tools in the inventory controlling. And JIT is very difficult to implement, but we have to try to do that. Try to maintain. And how long this more 15 minutes of class will go, we'll start up with a new topic today, which are most demanded in the industries. And the industries are striving very hard to rediscover work methods and techniques which could help produce goods for required quantity at reduced costs. The search resulted in techniques such as work simplification, value analysis, and collectively they say that method study and work study. So they have classified these techniques as method study and time study now. So now we are going to see what is this work study and method study. A work study is a technique of productive enhancement in demonstrating and dramatizing the possibilities of increasing productivity. So productivity can be increased by improving process efficiency and labor efficiency. So there is a thin end of the wedge which is relatively easy to drive as it were. Because work study is a new name of the technique usually known as method study nowadays. Method study and time study. So synonymously, they are in a work study, we are going to do method study, that is motion study, the movement of the workers during their work, and the work measurement, that is the time study. So these are the techniques studied under this work study. So if you are going to do this, then productivity will be higher. So though it looks like a generic term given to the group of different studies, but this includes all those techniques which are used in examination of human work in all its contents in order to effect improvement. So it's not a new thing that they are doing today, but it has been a tendency to bring some improvements in the human endeavors from times immemorial. Of the two distinct, both closely linked techniques that encompass work study method, motion study as dealt with. It's a basic work. It's a work content, components of manufacturing time. In this, we are going to have a method study, the element of work study. It may be a systematic recording, analyzing, critical examination of the existing and proposed way of doing the work. you can say that it is towards the development of easier and more effective methods. The aim of the study of the present may be the processing to eliminate the unnecessary operations to achieve the best method of performing the operations. Method study has few other names: methods engineering, method study, work study. Method study has following scope in improving work methods to process and operation analysis, such as manufacturing operations and their consequences. Workmen, materials, tools, layout, workstation, movement of materials and men. So this improving, if you want to improve such methods, we need to study their operational analysis of workmen and movement of materials. It is a procedure of examining the various activities of a problem which endures a systematic, critical evaluation of existing facts and, in addition, imaginary approach when developing the improvements. If the scope may be like broader investigation on total plant aspects such as layout, material handling, flow of materials, tools, and manufacturing sequence. And there is a motion study which detailed investigation of individual operator, layout of the work center, usage of tools, jigs, and fixtures, the movement of the limbs of workman, body posture, and his surroundings. There is another study called micromotion study, a deeper study of the rapid movements of fingers, arms, eyeballs, generally recorded by the camera to analyze it further. See the strength of analysis. Now we'll have a close look at the objectives of this method study. They want to improve the process and procedures. They want to improve the factory, shop, and work center layout. And they want to have some easier work for the human, reduction of unnecessary fatigues, improvement in the use of material, machines, and manpower, development of better working environment they want to create. So for that, they are making these studies. So what you are going to get in this means there will be a greater job satisfaction and morale, high standards of safety and health you are going to achieve. Standardization and rationalization will be followed. Improved design and quality will be maintained. See the allied objectives. So now we will have a look at the steps involved in the method study, how they will be doing. Earlier in the introduction, I said work study. Work study means method study plus time study. So here, the first steps in the work study, that is method study and time study, there is some difference. In the time study and method study, we are going to select, record, and examine the present process. But in method study, we are going to see the development, and time study, no development. And measurement of that work is not done in the method study, but it is done in the time study. And defining the works will not be done in the method study, but it will be done in the time study. Installation of the new and maintenance of that particular new job will be recorded by the method study, but not on time study. So that is the main difference between these two. So here selection method study has 6 steps, that is select, record, examine, develop, install, maintain. Selection means the job work to be analyzed. Which job we need to analyze, that we need to select. Recording is all the relevant factors about how it is performed at present. The present system will be recorded. Examine the recording existing method is looked into the critically. Then developed and improved one method is developed, new method. Then they start implementing that method at standard practice. And they are going to see the maintenance of the improved method as a standard practice. This is the job of the method study. So in the selection of the job, it is initial stage of method study. It's a great challenge. Maybe prerogative of the management. Job so selected for studies to yield at least one of the following results, like if you are going to select a job and come out with a development that is coming with a new one and installing, maintaining, it should reflect the improvement in the quality, or it has to reduce the wastage, or it has to increase the production, or it may speed up the flow of work, or working conditions should be improved. So if you are going to select a job, in this case, then it is very good. And we have to check for economic considerations, technical considerations, human consideration. Economic consideration means bottleneck operations, excessive labor, scraps and defectives, backtracking. Technical considerations means we have to see the technical knowledge available with that particular workers. Human considerations means the how frequent they are, accidents occur, excessive fatigue, irregular earnings, situations in this category. What is the resistance to change by the workman in the natural consequence? And human considerations is a vital in the role play. So recording techniques, operation, inspection, transportation, delay and storage. Method study, we are going to use some symbols in order to show the transportation, delay, inspection. We have few symbols like an oval shape is used for operation. Hence, we are going to put into diagram. Inspection in the rectangular, and transportation with an arrow, and delay using a D, and storage as the top-down triangle model. So using this, we are going to prepare a flow chart or the diagrams, templates, process flow charts, man type, material type, equipment type, SIMO charts, simultaneous motion charts, flow and string diagrams, multiple activities charts, travel charts, micro motion study. So Gilbert is the founder of motion study. He is going to use some symbols from his study, that is Thurblick symbols. Gilbert, if you are going to make it from left to right, Gilbert, you can read it as Thurblick. So he came out with his name in another way, it's called as Thurblick, some symbols, and he has given some contribution towards this motion study. So he is the man behind this studies, Frank B. Gilbert. So here we have to have some list of possible primary questions when we are going for this method study. First, we need to know the purpose, what is achieved, and we need means how it is done, why it is done, sequence when it is done, place where it is done, person who does it. So this analysis, primary questions we need to answer. And secondary questions like purpose, what else could be done, what should be done, how else could it be done, how should it be done? That is the means. In the sequence, when else it could be done, when should it be done, place where else it could be done, where should it can be done, person who else could it do it better, who should do it. So these secondary questions we need to answer. So these five areas are given with the second question to select the best alternatives available among considerations. So if you want to have a proposed method, then the secondary questions, alternatives that we should go for it. If you answer this, then you can find the answer. So this is the effective way of maintenance, studying and recording. So in the development of a new method, you have to eliminate all the unnecessary operations wherever possible, combine the operations. If possible, sequence may be rearranged and simplify the necessary operations. So here you can